Engineer reports.
Good evening. Nate Klein with Pannoni. Will suggested I could go first this evening, so he doesn't steal all of my thunder. Just a few quick updates from our team. One is the roof. I think you've seen this new skylights have been installed. So we're moving on kind of substantial completion for the roof project. We were speaking earlier about guarantees, warranty. New roof has 20 years. So that's a positive there. So, we're essentially substantially complete. We still have to do the thermal scan to tell us if there's any moisture done. There's still some flashing, some things like that, but we're calling it substantially complete and we should be winding that down very shortly. Second, we're working with the public works staff here and Sean on our sewer conveyance analysis. We've prepared kind of the initial draft analysis, not getting to conclusions yet, but we'll be meeting with Sean and Don over the next couple of weeks to work through that, what we're finding, what the options might be. So there's more to come on that, hopefully as early as next month. I think everybody's seen the storm sewer work going on at the former Wyeth site. Our team is on site for that, observing that storm sewer modification. The Downingtown Pike pedestrian project, that is complete. So we're working with East Bradford Township on closing out that payment. And then we'll be meeting, we have a monthly coordination meeting with the borough team. So we have that Thursday morning. And with that, I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Will, who's got some good news he wants to share.
I got a question. And I talked to you about it. Every time it rains, the mud runs down onto the red pad. Somebody went over there this past week and jammed leaves up inside that hole.
Okay.
That Mr. McCoy saw it. It ain't, I'm going to use a Delco. It ain't working
Okay.
because we're going to have a slip and fall. It's better off that they take the pipe and tuck it inside and let it, let it come out on its own.
Okay.
Because right now it's, we had that real bad storm. I know it's a leaching pipe, but
it's really just for the retaining wall kind of relief.
Yeah,
for that
but
retaining
it's putting debris.
Yeah, we don't want that. I agree. So I'll work with either East Bradford or the contractor to get that resolved.
Yeah. Yeah, you could actually maybe put a perforated cap on it.
Yeah, I think it just needs a little bit of TLC, and frankly, I probably won't have the contractor come out. I'll work with East Bradford Public Works and we'll try to figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. It's really important.
Yeah, no, we don't want that to be, yeah.
Yeah, and icing up. I mean, basically all they did was move it back further.
Yeah,
It
just let it
didn't
back
do
up.
anything. So
Fair enough. Okay.
Thanks for changing the flashing on the roof. I'm glad we're getting out of the, what do they call it? Miami Vice? look?
Fuchsia.
Yeah, the teal look. It's like going to beige.
Sure
Thank
thing.
you.
One goofy question, the Wyeth property, do you have any concept when the traffic around the area will start to be disrupted?
No. All they're doing right now is there's some existing storm sewer conveyance issues they have on site that they can't do anything on that site till they resolve. So they've got some downtime as they work through all their approvals, permits, potential, lessees and stuff. So they're just trying to chip away at some work that needs to happen.
Just keep telling me when you think something might happen. How's that? Outside.
Yes, not fair enough.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, everyone. Hit on a couple things from the Remington and Vernick report. Price Street, we had approval by council last month to get the ball rolling on some improvements there. So Remington and Vernick is working on an improvement plan, which will go to PennDOT for approval as it's a state road. We submitted our annual MS4 report that's due September 30th every year. This is first time Remington and Vernick was doing it instead of Gilmore I think since we've had to do MS4 reports. So a little bit of a scramble at the end, but got that in. We are going to revise our pollution reduction plan for Goose Creek with assistance from Remington and Vernick. This is a plan that goes to DEP. It says how we are going to comply with the stormwater quality regs. That is not, those are not exclusive problems from flooding on Goose Creek. We can think about both at the same time as part of that process. At the end of that, we will have a list of stormwater projects for the Goose Creek, and we're just getting the ball rolling on that. There'll be public input process and a lot of updates to council along the way, and room for your input as well. Nate alluded to some grants. We landed another grant for the Hoops Park tennis project, tennis and pickleball project. This is If you've been up there, that's all you need to see. It's a project that really needs to get done. So thanks for Keith for spearheading that, and Benoni helped with the grant writing. There was a CFA, Commonwealth Finance Authority meeting in September that was postponed. They were supposed to announce grant awards for grants we submitted in December, and they postponed the meeting for 2 months. So that just goes to show why you need to write grants, like for projects you want to do a year, 2, 3 years from now. We closed one out, sanitary relining grant. We got about half a mile of pipe relined immediately prior to the pandemic, and then late last year, restarted the program again. We just closed out that grant, $208,000 back to the wastewater fund. So happy about that too. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, this is not a grant. It's sort of a unique program with DEP. It's $7,500 in technical assistance. There's no expense to us. DEP is paying a third-party engineer directly. This third-party engineer is going to take a look at Snyder Avenue and tell us if we can turn our yard waste composting site into a composting site that would also take food scraps. The idea being, that would help us implement some sort of composting program and help us defray costs of our trash program. So that is just getting underway, but it should be pretty quick. $7,500 doesn't get you very far, that many hours with an engineer. So I expect by December, we'll have some findings from that. And like I said, it's not a grant. They're just paying for it directly. So.
Price Street. Last night at about 11 o'clock, there was a car going west, very fast, ran a stop sign, took out some cars. There were cars parked on the street there, 3, I believe. So thank you. Please keep doing everything you can about dealing with the speeding issues on
Sure.
Price, because it's a problem, and it's continuing to be a problem, and why they were speeding in that direction still doesn't quite make sense to me, but it happens a
Yeah.
lot. So thank you.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Next item, Public Works.
Good evening, Don Edwards, Public Works Director. The borough's paving is scheduled to begin next Monday. PECO is expected to pave part of High Street and Market Street, as well as the area near South Brandywine, Bernard, and Dean Streets in the near future. So there should be a considerable amount of paving I would say within a month. We are prepared to begin leaf collection at the end of the month. Regarding the illicit discharge, we delivered an invoice to the building owner to reimburse our cost, and we're waiting for a response. One topic that I haven't presented in the past is employee development. We've been assisting 3 laborers to obtain their commercial driver's licenses so they can be promoted to driver labor. We expected that the training would cost about $5,000 per employee. Don Anderson found a trainer for $1,500 per employee. One employee obtained a CDL. A second employee is close to obtaining a CDL, and the third employee just returned to work from an injury and should obtain training in the near future. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
The question I have about PennDOT paving,
Yes,
what is the last day that we're allowed to pave?
it's October 31st. We have submitted a request to pave beyond October 31st. If there are no delays, we'll be finished before October 31st, but if there's inclement weather or something else, we could go into November. So we just submitted it already.
Yeah, did they respond?
Well, they haven't given us approval. I just did it today.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's, I'm very leery
yeah.
with PennDOT.
Yeah.
Because, they don't respond They respond when they want to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep ahead of that because of liquid fuels.
Understand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
3B, wastewater.
Good evening, Sean Mitchell, Goose Creek Superintendent. This month at Taylor Run, employees found a leaking soda ash supply line in their digester basement and replaced it, along with a short backwash hose on the Rotomat fine screen. Crews inside the plant are also, I believe Mike said they're 90% done. They're outside, changing from fluorescent bulbs to, or halogen bulbs to LED, and they're 99% done inside, 95% inside. They're completed, but just some oddballs where they have to do it very safely because they're in odd areas. The monthly effluent flow for Taylor Run was 746 million gallons per day. I'm sorry, 746,000 gallons per day. At Goose Creek, the maintenance crews disassembled, rebuilt a primary sludge monopump. We are waiting on some parts to put that back in. Seals and bearings were replaced on that. A recycled water hydrant. We use all of our effluent to clean the tank, so we don't use potable water. Through the years, we found a couple that were worth purchasing. Now we're finding that they weren't really worth purchasing, so we're redigging them up and putting them back in as needed. We found that one of our clarifiers shut down for one unknown reason, and through an assessment, we found that the torque switch was actually doing its job and shut the arm down, so we didn't have any twisting, breaking, or damage to the tank. That was readjusted and modified. It's back running. The crews cleaned and inspected and found a faulty check valve in PS1. The parts were ordered. We're waiting for that to come back online. Other than that, all the other check valves were done. And a timer system. We were having problem with some solids. We brought our person in for our polymer salesman. He did a jar test. He recommended, with the flow being low at night, shut the polymer off. So the crews built a timer for the air system to be shut off from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning. It's working really well. So now with next year's capital things, with different pumps that we're going to purchase, it's one that's going to be actually flow driven. So as the flow goes down, the pump slows down. As it goes up, makes us more efficient and effective with not wasting product. Goose Creek's monthly effluent flow was 1.030 million gallons per day for the average last month. Questions?
Thank you. I appreciate how resourceful your team is and how mechanical they are. They can do all of this in-house.
All of them, yeah. We try to do as most. The only thing we really don't do is HVAC or the substation where the 34,000 volts that gets a little.
Basically, you could do with a Swiss knife and duct tape, MacGyver. By any chance at Goose Creek, would there have been a odor release during the last month?
In the beginning of the month, there could have been. I did notify Mike McAdams, our inspector, at one point. I'm not sure if it was the beginning of the month, the end of September you're talking about. But yeah, the end of August, we did have an upset in our digester when we flip-flop tanks. I was in contact with him. He contacted me, and I kind of said, you can come down, and whoever complaining, because where the person, the general area we knew of, the wind was blowing the other way. So
I blamed it on Kennett Square. So, I said they've turned the mushroom soil over.
yeah,
And-
Mike never had a problem with us, and he knows that if I call, that something's wrong.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to hide it. And I even tell, if the neighbors or somebody, I said, come down to the plant, walk around. If you think it's us, come down. We've noticed that there has been odors, and we've contacted them to keep us, keep our noses clean.
But thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate the volume. How does that compare, last year same month and year to date?
We're basically back to normal. COVID, we were down, but we're about a normal flow right now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Parks and Recreation.
Good evening. Keith Karowski, Director of the Parks and Recreation Department. When we come to September in Parks and Recreation, it's usually two things. It's the budget and the restaurant festival. And the restaurant festival, while in my tenure here at the Borough, has historically been a success, and we've historically had good weather. This was the first time in 2 decades we didn't have the greatest weather. The event up until that point was fantastic, and then Mother Nature decided to make it not so very much. So for the first time in 2 decades, we had to call the event slightly early. It didn't affect any of the revenues, obviously affected the number of people that attended the event. Myself, along with the police department, made the call about 3:30, 4:45 in the afternoon of September 17th. After I visited the 3 stages and ran around the event to see what the rainfall had done to the event, when you have 3 stages with live music and your streets are basically small streams, it's time to cut the power and think of safety as opposed to the number of folks that are there. Things could run a little smoother with the exodus of all the vendors and the crafters. Just to give you an idea of the sheer numbers, I have it on the report, but there's 150 individual vendors that are there, whether they're sponsors, crafters, non-crafters, nonprofits. It's a massive undertaking, and it's a huge shout out to the Public Works Department and the Police Department, along with the Parking Department, that all in support of the Parks and Recreation Department make this event as great as it is. So hopefully for next year, which will be 43, if I'm not mistaken, we'll go back on our schedule of getting things lined up as far as Mother Nature is concerned on the 3rd Sunday in September, and we'll be good to go. The other thing that I wanted to touch on briefly, since we were talking about grants, and that was very good news that we got earlier regarding the DCNR grant for the Hoops Park Racket Center upgrade. We also have submitted the grant to DCNR, or excuse me, to the county for the grant to support the master plan project. We probably won't hear back from that to I would say somewhere in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we have had positive feedback so far. The county commissioners, or excuse me, the county planning office has already reached out to our consultants and have discussed some of the aspects of the grant, which is a positive sign. Even though it didn't happen in September, last week we had our ribbon cutting dedication of the Story Walk over at Hoops Park. The event went great. It's a fantastic project. It just shows more collaboration between the library and the borough and the county, who supported the library with the grant for the project. Again, it has to stay in a borough park for a minimum of 3 years. I hope and have a good feeling that's going to be there in perpetuity at Hoops Park. I know the Friends of Hoops Park are big fans of it as well. That pretty much sums up September. Again, we're gearing up. In 2 weeks from tomorrow is the Halloween parade. You're all, rain dance or non-rain dance. Keep weather very good for that event. And then we'll be just looking forward to moving ahead with the budget and the grant writing and getting things sewn up for the Santa at the Square coming up in December. So those are what we have lined up as of right now. Is there any questions you have for me?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you.
We'll move on to action items. 4A, approve the sludge hauling bid for McGovern Environmental at $8.0871 per gallon.
Good evening again, Sean Mitchell, Goose Creek. Good news is it wasn't the 10 cents that we used a hard number for. It did come in at the 0871. Russell Reed came in at 12.5 cents. So I believe it knocked it down 20,000
About 139,000.
from what we budgeted. So that made it a positive.
It's great news because that, was a topic during the budget conversation last month.
Any questions? None?
How many rolls of duct tape and Swiss knives do you need?
2.
Okay.
Item 4B, recommend approval of the baseball field improvements at Hoops Park, Westchester Adult Baseball League.
As Keith Krowski, Director of the Parks and Recreation Department, and Charlie Cooper, the President of the League, will be here to speak further about this. He presented a plan to the Recreation Commission at their meeting last week with their concept of how they're going to help control potentially control the foul ball issues, which has seemed to be the biggest issue at the park. The commission was in approval or in support of this plan moving forward to this committee and then to council. Charlie Cooper from the league can speak further about how they're going to go about this, heights, dimensions. They're doing some local community sourcing, if you will, to try and keep the cost down on their end. But I'll let Charlie speak more about that.
Charlie Cooper, Westchester Adult League. Going to him at this point. Bill, can you put up the overview or the yellow drawing on the attachment? We'll come back to that in a second. Not the other one. Forest. It's yellow screen. Yep. Perfect. So initial plan is to put 55 foot utility poles into the ground. They're about 18 inches thick. Those will go 10 feet into the ground and give us an overall height of 45 feet out of the ground. The existing backstop for reference is 35 to 38 feet, somewhere in there. So this would exceed that. It'll run a distance of 90 feet from the existing backstop down along Ashbridge Street. And it'll attach to the existing fencing that is there right now. There'll be all those black lines within the brown is cabling. I believe it's 3/8 inch. And then the yellow is a see-through nylon netting that will attach with carabiners or some type of clipping to all the wiring and the poles. And then, can you switch back? Oh, that's the exampling of the cabling and netting reference. And then, Bill, can you switch back to the map, please? So I'll walk over here, probably easier. This pole right here correlates directly. That's the end of the backstop. It's just right now, directly where people stop parking. There's probably 20 parking spots that don't get used. That's where the balls escape into the parking lot and onto Ashbridge and into the neighboring houses. So the netting will go right there and over. Bernie, I know you had a concern with not adjusting the backstop itself. I think the parking pattern for the last 50 years proves that backstop does a decent job because everybody does park there willingly. So I think putting this netting up at a higher height will allow full use of this parking lot.
Can I ask how you will encourage people to park here after this?
I'm hoping the net itself will encourage people.
Like clear communication.
Yeah, I mentioned it previously to Keith. I've talked about a temporary sign we can put out every night along the street of Ashbridge. We'll just take down. It says baseball parking here. So.
Please do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Charlie, the poles, they're going to be wood?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, I'm going to look over at Mr. Metric because he knows all. Do we need to send this to engineering to make sure it's engineered properly?
Kevin Gore has already told me to do so.
Oh, he told you to do it? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, okay, I just didn't know whether I had to go in front of engineering, that's all.
It's step 4 of my process. I have to go to council next week and then
Yeah,
codes is the last step. I mean, if you guys are on 202, they have netting just like this.
Yeah,
I imagine
yeah.
this is 100%
Yeah.
feasible. I don't see any issues. It's just a matter of getting the engineering.
Yeah.
and approval from you guys.
that's fine, great, thanks.
Thanks, Bernie.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I have no questions. Looks good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like a 3-0.
I do have,
Go ahead.
are you currently parking on the grass? Did we say that was okay? And then,
We're done. We've
You're-
been done since
but
middle of July.
were you,
To be honest, people did not park on the grass.
okay, good. Just stay off the grass now.
Yeah, we know. Yeah,
No, I was like, did we do that? If we did, get off, but
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last item of Tentative recommendation for the approval of tree planting at Barclay Park.
Again, Keith Karowski, Director of Parks and Recreation. The BGPA, who were here early and then left, they had presented a plan to the Recreation Commission and also to the Tree Commission. They would like to plant 10 trees within the park. The Parks and Rec Commission, or excuse me, the Recreation Commission said that's fine, contingent upon approval from the Tree Commission. That's where we were kind of in limbo. I got word back that they were in approval and discussion, but I didn't get official word. So I would think that I'm asking this committee, upon approval from the Tree Commission, is it okay for them to move ahead with their fall plantings of 10 trees in the park?
Yeah, I mean, it's timing critical is why
Yeah.
they're trying to get this done this month. I'm fine with it. When they were here earlier, I suggested if necessary, they could come back to work session next week, but
Yeah, and the issue that the
Big deal.
Rec Commission had was the locations and the specific tree species and how those would affect the plantings. The Rec Commission doesn't have that expertise, the Tree Commission does, and there was a little bit of a overlap between the two, but I have a feeling that they'll get approval from the Tree Commission if they haven't already, and then you guys give your.
I think he said
contingent.
verbally
Yeah.
tonight that they did get that, but
Cool.
Yeah, as long as they use the trees that are on our list,
Yeah,
they don't come up with their own.
something from Hawaii or something.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we're good.
Yeah, it's good to go, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Time sensitive.
thank you. Sounds like a 3-0. And finally, 4D, approve the September meeting minutes. Any questions?
Approved.
Approved, 3-0. Any other business? Hearing none, we will adjourn at 7:54.